We're just going to go through a few features for the 2021 release wave 1 that Microsoft have released. We're going to start with some model-driven app features, and then we're just going to move into the field service elements. One of the first things Microsoft have introduced to the mobile version is the ability to see the business process flow details. It's always been apparent that when we're in the web browser, we get to see which process we're on, how long it's been active for. The reason for this is if you're on the wrong process, you might have the option to over here switch to a different process flow. What was apparent was that, even though you could see in the web version, if you're using it on a mobile phone, you didn't see the same detail. So you can see now here, this is me on the mobile phone. I get to see the process flow I'm on. I get to see how long it's been active for. We've got these left and right buttons here that you can click and move through the different stages. If you then click into one of these like so, you get to fill out all the details in the usual manner and then move to the next stage or move forward a stage if you need to. Another thing Microsoft have improved is an improvement to the global relevance search. Now, we've done a previous video on this, the new features, but Microsoft have slightly improved it whereby if you start searching for something in here, you can see it gives you these options as well. So it's got these search quick actions. You could click on this record from here. You can click here and assign it to somebody. You can click here and share it to somebody. You can click here and email a link to somebody. Or if you just push enter, then it returns all your results. You can see out of all these results, there's one account, which you can see one here, 2 cases, 11 contacts, 6 opportunities. You can customize the views as well. So if you want to add any additional fields in here, you can. And of course, you've got those quick actions also within here as well. So you can see on a case, resolve case, cancel case, more commands in here as well. Obviously contact, you can see assign, share, and email a link. So you get different options based on the different entity types that it returns. And it's the same in the mobile as well. So this experience is exactly the same. If I was to click over here and click search in the top right, start typing something in here as well, you can see like so, just return on that. It will show me all my results. So if I wanted to see that little filter, then in the top left here, we've got this little capability here as well to click filter. And you can see it shows you a similar concept to what you see just on the mobile version. So it just pops out the little screen on the left hand side. So we've got duplicate detection and merging rules. This feature was released in the last version, but it was optional to turn it on or off. This is now turned on by default for every instance that you guys have. The first feature is obviously the merging. So if I was to select, say, 2 records from a specific view, you get the option up here that says merge. As soon as you click on merge, you've got a couple of different options in here now. Obviously, like before, you could go down and you could specify what you want to merge and which value do you want to take from which one, and at the end you can click OK and merge those off. We've now got 2 additional things at the top here. So view fields with conflicting data, you can say yes, and of course it will bring back all those fields and then you can go and pick and choose which ones you want. Or if I was just to say, okay, merge records by choosing fields with data. Anything that's blank, obviously it won't take it, but you can see, like for example this one here, you can see there's no data in this field, so it's going to take this value because it's got data in it. Equally, if there is value in both fields, as you can see if you hover over here, both records have data in the same fields, the primary record will be selected. In this scenario, this one has been selected as the primary. If I make this one now the primary, then this will be selected as well. So really nice couple of options there from a merging point of view. Just cancel that off. And if I was to go and create a new record now, like so, and just call this something test account, and I put a value in a field that I know has got duplicate detection rules against it, like so, upon save, you get the same pop-out screen that says, we found duplicates for you. At this point in time now, you get the ignore and save and the merge option. So I could just go and view this record. I could say, okay, actually ignore and save, and then go, oh, that's the record I was looking for. Equally, I can now click on the merge option here from the same screen, and it shows you just what you just saw there as well. So you can merge from which record you want to or which one you want to go to, any conflicting data, blah, 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 and then click OK on there. So you've got the option of selecting it from a view, or you've also got this option as and when you add records to the system where it flags up which duplicates you've already got in your database. So that was most of the new features they released for model-driven apps. Microsoft have released a few extra features as well for the field service application as well. So just going to move on to those features now. Work order resolutions for the field service app. Microsoft have added a new table called resolutions. It consists of a text field, which is the name of the resolution, and a brief description. It's a way of just your engineers pulling one of these values, or if you allow them to create them on the fly, they can, to say how they resolved a problem. You can see if we go over to a normal work order, we've got to look up to this primary resolution field here as well. Anyone who's using it in the browser can fill this in. We've also got against the incident, so if you've got multiple incidents against this, you can have multiple resolutions. You can see the resolutions in here as well. Now, just feeding over to what it would look like on the mobile phone. Your engineer is going to go into his job like so. It's going to carry on as he would normally, navigate into the customer's details. He gets to the service part. He starts filling in all of his service tasks that he's done. You can see I've filled in a few of these already. He's got his products he's going to add. He's going to add his charge, how long he took. But the key thing here now is we've got this resolution field here. So he can then say, okay, I've now completed the tasks I need to complete. I'm going to say it's a faulty fuse box in this scenario. He had to replace the fuse box. He then clicks save. He's out and about. If we come into the, somebody might be in the office now, and we just refresh this, it will update the work order in real time to say, okay, this is now completed. He had to replace the fuse box. In turn, you can see it creates a work order resolution in here. So you can go into that. It's telling you that there's a link to the type of incident that you guys set up when you set up the work order, how he resolved the problem, and if it's linked to any custom assets, that would pull through as well. This also then feeds into the incident. So like I said, if you've got multiple incidents, you can see this is how I fixed this incident. So it's there, it's linked to these few different areas. The benefit of it is, if I just flick over here, is you can use it in reports. So I've just added my own chart over here that says, the work order by resolution. If I just refresh this quickly, you can see there it is. Look, replace fuse box. We've now got 2. We've got 8 faulty cables. If you want to pop this out in more detail, you can see. So of these 12 closed work orders that we've got in the last few weeks, we've had to replace 8 faulty cables. So it's going to help you analyze your products and do we need to keep some of those cables on the vans type scenario. So yeah, it's here for you to allow your engineers to say how they resolved a problem, how they fixed an issue, for you guys to then have some nice reports running off the back of this. So another feature they've brought back is obviously on the new schedule board. So we've got the ability to turn on the new schedule board. It looks like this. Is adding a few of the features that we used to have in the legacy schedule board. So when the first sort of new schedule board was released in preview, we only had the ability to look at an hourly view. So when we look at an hourly view like so, you can see it's looking at an hourly view, based on the values that you've picked, based on your universal time and your time frames and everything else, and your patterns. You can see it's from 9 o'clock, looking at this person's working hours. They work till 4:30. This is then grayed out, because obviously that's their working pattern, whereas this person here, he works till 4, but he starts a bit earlier. Look, you can see the shift pattern. So if it's grayed out, you can then see their working hours. You've got your resources. This is looking at the hourly view, and then over here on the left hand side you can see their capacity and how much they've got booked based on what you can see in here. You can make it slightly bigger or slightly smaller if you need to see more detail or less details. We've then got the daily view now added in, so you can see when we look at this on Wednesday the 10th, I can see Mark has 1 booking. So the thing here in the brackets is 1. That's how many bookings they've got in that time frame, and that 1 booking is for 2 hours. Martin has 1 booking for 6 hours. You can see the principle. So you need to expand over here now though. You've got this little option of clicking on the plus. That will then show you the bookings. It will show you more details around the work order, which you can then hover over and see, and it tells you utilization targets as well, your figures in there. We've got weekly view, exactly the same scenario. Obviously you're going to have more of these work orders. So again, Mark here, you can see if I expand that, that's made up of 2. Obviously this one here got cancelled. You can see the status is cancelled, which is why it's got a strike through and it's in a different colour. This one is obviously scheduled, and looks like this one is completed. But it's telling you there's 2 there, and the combined value, in terms of duration, is added up. That's 8 hours 30 minutes. So that's the weekly view, and then exactly the same thing. You've got your monthly view as well. So it's just adding all those up and aggregating those, and then obviously you can expand that. If we look at Nigel over here, for example, he's got quite a lot. It looks like he's got an ongoing thing, and you can see on each of those days, on each of those months, he's got, looks like a work order that's going out for the same account by the looks of it. So those are the different views they've brought back, and then obviously you've got the map view as well, which was legacy. We can turn that on now. It used to be over here on the left, just by clicking on the little icon here, and that will then show us a map view like so. You can see it's based on today's date. Obviously you can change this. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, as far as you need to. It would tell me that that it's pulling the image from the resource, that person's there. If you want to scroll around, then you can see your resources and everything else in there. You can turn the features on that you see in the map just by clicking on here. You can see your bookings, your resources, any requirements that are outstanding. Obviously, if you want to see traffic, you can enable that as well. Just going to hand you over to Paul now, who's going to go through the next feature.
Okay, so we're going to run through a couple of more features of the field service Wave 1 release. First one I can't really demo, it's more of a quick insight, if you will. So the field service mapping features, the Bing maps. So this going forward is going to be turned on by default. So previously when you set up a new field service environment, you had to enable maps. This would then ask you to configure the address recommendations, whether you wanted geocode addresses. So going forward from April, this is going to be sort of turned on as and when you deploy a new field service instance. The features can be disabled and by an admin of the environment if they so wish. But again, it's just reducing that time to configure those sort of settings. So knowledge articles are certainly not a new thing to Dynamics. They've been around for a number of years, but in this case, it's very much for our engineers or technicians who are going out on site. So we've got our standard article here with our WYSIWYG editor, where we can get quite clever and with our presentation. So in this one, I've got sort of collapsible sections. I've just shown here that you can have sort of text-based things, we can have images, and we can have links to websites. So this is a quite handy resource for somebody who is carrying out this installation of a charge point in this example. Now, where the new functionality comes into its own is around incident types. So one of our previous videos, we talked around these incident types. These are the sort of templated jobs that your technicians will do time and time again. And it lets us add on, or previously allowed us to add, the products that we'll be using for this job, the services such as labour, the tasks that the engineer must undergo whilst on the visit. But now we've got this new section here called linked articles, where we can add sort of one or more articles. And then when we create a work order, which I've got one open over here, and we specify that primary incident type, as well as pulling through the products and services, etc., we now get our article directly linked in there. Now that's really powerful for the engineer. So he's turning up at the job now, and sort of everything he needs to know should be visible on his mobile device. And we'll look at that in a second. And again, it's reducing admin time internally using those templates. There's no back office effort here really. Once we specify that incident type, our work order is sort of good to be scheduled, and we know whoever picks it up will have all the information they need at their fingertips. So we'll just flip over to the mobile now and take a look at that. Okay, so here we are. We've opened up the new field service mobile app. I've got one booking in there for today, which you can see. So I'm going to open that. And we've run through this on a previous recording. I'd recommend if you want to learn more about the mobile app, let you watch that. So we've got our standard sort of work order information here, the current status of the job, the start time, end time and duration, information about the customer and the map feature there that we can see at the bottom. And then on this service tab, we've got all of those service tasks that I was talking about earlier, the services. And then we've got that linked articles section where we're seeing here that the knowledge article that we've created has been associated to this work order automatically. So we open that, and then the engineer has his step-by-step guide. He's got any images he needs, and I guess providing he's got Wi-Fi coverage, 4G or 5G even, he can then sort of review that video if needs be. So again, it's just an extra benefit for the engineer. He's literally got his step-by-step guide, of tasks that he needs to go through, and then an installation manual. So another feature that, not part of the Wave 1, but a recent release, is the field service technician reports. So often when your engineers or technicians are out and about, the customer would like a handy report summarising the work that's been done, maybe it's the parts that have been used, the steps that have been conducted, and encompassing the customer's signature as well as a bit of a sign-off. So a recent release, as I say, is this sort of service reports that can be generated within the app. So again, I'm going to go into my job that we have here. From earlier, we've got a list of sort of tasks here that potentially completed during our job. I'm just going to mark those as done now. We've got our services that have been used and products there. And then we have our customer signature that I've sort of pre-populated earlier. And then from within this, well, anywhere within the work order itself, we can go to more and report. And then that just generates the report. So I've just left the sample one in here now, but this can be sort of customized by either Preact or yourselves, depending on the capability you have in-house, where, you know, we specify in the customer name, the address, for example, which technician was on site today, you know, some of the start and end times, we may want to tidy those up for formatting, obviously, in the duration, list of products, service tasks and labour, and then we've got the signature there at the bottom. And we can literally in the bottom left here there, click Save to Timeline, and then that will be saved back into Dynamics, which I've already done. And we can see, if I just move the mobile out of the way there, we can see here that that report is now accessible to those guys back in the office there. And then we could have automation off the back of this to send that to the customer or what have you further downstream.
Well, thank you for watching the video. If you found it useful and want to stay up to date, please do subscribe and turn on your notifications by clicking the bell below. If you have any questions, please feel free to visit our website, drop us a call. You can find our contact details in the description below. Thank you.